looking to try and play around this bottom side. So we'll see if Kanavi can get anything rolling through that Leona pick on towards something like the Bard for Mark here. You can get several kills nice and early. However, if I'm looking at Peanut, I'm going to be trying to play through Langx once again. Getting the likes of this Renekton set up nice and early can provide a strong front line that can definitely, if allowed access to Kanavi, Yagao and LoKen, do what we saw in that last game and try and just win out completely.
And I have to say, I'm liking what we see out of Mark here because, well, Mark has played a good amount of the Bard across the course of the split. Most importantly, it allows Kramer to just be the solo farmer on the bottom side. He's on the Ezreal, he's completely safe. And so Mark can get out on the map with Peanut and make plays happen, set xiye up, set Langx up, and set the rest of the game up for LGD.
And that's what we're going to need to see here from LGD side is some way of enabling Mark to get out onto this map. Allow Kramer to be Farmer Kramer for a little while where he just gets himself towards that 2-item spike. But setting up xiye in this mid lane, setting up Langx in the top lane, and snowballing that advantage for LGD.
Well, LGD have found themselves a little bit of momentum in this series after 2 games on the bounce for JDG to start the series off. LGD, with their backs against the ropes, found a Game 3 victory, and now they bring out a Skarner in the jungle. It's Kanavi against Peanut. They are fighting for the title of the King of the Jungle. And it's been a bit back and forth, but we'll find out who's going to take it here in game number 4.
LGD 加油 ，JDG 加油！勇者无畏，愈战愈强，希望你们打出好成绩。
It has been 5 years since LGD made a final in the LPL. It has been 1,827 days. And LGD now with a Game 3 win have the opportunity to carry this momentum forward. They're bringing out a Skarner pick that's clearly a pre-prepared strategy here, and I'm curious how they're going to make this work.
So we're seeing Skarner at the moment running that Predator rune. So one of the things you need to keep in your head with a Predator is a 345 gank. That's where you've cleared 3 camps, you've backed, and you've made it back out onto the map to go for that gank. This is where I want to see Peanut start bot side jungle, clear those 3 camps, hit that top lane, and think about Langx with something on this Renekton towards an Elise. You set up super well for these ganks, but Peanut has that skill shot on his E as well that can set up for a bunch of CC, and they can take down Zoom very early.
You can see Kanavi starting things off with his mark onto Peanut as well, which could signify that maybe we'll have a bit of skirmishing between the junglers here. But when we take a look across the runes, aside from maybe the Predator on the Skarner, which I guess is standard, but Skarner itself isn't standard, pretty much everything across the board going to be going the way you expect. Immediately we have a 2v2 in the bottom lane. There's not even a minion wave here. This is just fighting for the sake of fighting.
Yeah, trying to see if they can set up early for at least a bit of a push for LoKen and LvMao. Expect this to only get worse as they hit that level 2, and LvMao very close to it. Might see if he can get on towards Mark here.
Mark hit level 2 before Kramer there,
yeah,
thanks
just
to some meeps. But after the level 2 is hit on both sides, it means that neither team gets the engagement that they want. Bear in mind, LoKen and LvMao will have kill pressure if they ever find a chance there.
Looking at Langx as well, moving in to get that ward. So they know Kanavi is on the bottom side, going to be playing very far back. Peanut, I'm surprised that he's not backing here, especially with Predator. This is where you can get that early boots and get out onto the map very quickly. But as we talked about with the pathing, he's on his weak side. He's not going to be able to contest for Scuttle. He's not going to be able to get anything on this bottom side. So it looks like he's instead going to have to go for a full clear and then back, which alleviates some of the early pressure you can get from this Predator room.
I'm just curious to see where Peanut will focus on this map as well, because this time around, xiye doesn't have the same global pressure with the Twisted Fate that we saw in game number 3. The game plan for LGD in that last game was focused down on Zoom, but this time around, Zoom's on the Ornn, much more difficult to go for a gank onto him, but also without xiye having that global pressure, makes Peanut's job a little bit more difficult.
Well, Peanut needs to be towards this top side because, as we talked about, Kramer and Mark not really going to set you up particularly well if you're a Skarner. and you don't have the damage output from Kramer. So already Peanut moving back up towards this top side to get himself a scuttle from his own. But I want to see him again after this back, trying to get access to that top side. Langx has the bounce back there.
Kanavi. He's already behind the bot lane tier 1 tower. This is so much CS and XP being denied from the side of LGD. And while he can't go for the dive at this point in the game, maybe he can actually, the root comes down. It's going to be a bit of damage going through. That's already a turret plate in favor of JDG.
Mid lane though, you can see Peanut's got his hands full as he tries to help xiye push this wave in so he can back and get some of that experience, or sorry, not experience, some of that mana back in for himself. So mid lane and bot lane not looking too hot for LGD just yet.
So Langx on the top side will have the shove pretty much permanently in this lane, at least until Zoom gets a bit tankier for himself. And it is one of those lanes where Renekton, if the Ornn plays completely awfully, has some kill pressure, but realistically, Ornn is very, very safe in almost every matchup.
Yeah, it is definitely Langx favored, where you do have to respect him. You can see already a bit of a CS lead. However, that will lessen as this wave crashes, but we'll have to see what Kanavi can do. Kanavi right now, because Peanut hasn't backed, has full reign of the map.
Kanavi managed to sneak around the Scuttle Crab here. Maybe could move towards the top side as we do see the recall coming out from Langx. He gets out of there, which means I think that Kanavi's just going to have to self. So
LvMao was there as well. So LvMao already getting out onto the map. This is what we talked about for both these supports. When you get an Ezreal in the bottom lane, you are unlocked to go and roam. Not able to get on towards Langx just yet, but can clear away this topside jungle, which forces Peanut bot side where he doesn't want to be.
The Krug stopped LvMao's back. I was wondering if that would happen.
Again.
Kanavi has dragged them over to his support. LvMao not enjoying that one right now.
I think he forced them to stop so that they could go for this play. However, Peanut
is going to try and contest this one. Zoom goes under the tower. Nice flash from Langx to dodge the knockup, and that means Kanavi has to get out of here on this one. Peanut gets the stun onto LvMao. This should deter everything on the play here. It's just a flash burn from Langx.
They're still going to push in underneath this turret, though. You have Zoe beginning to roll.
Level 6 already found for Zoom. The knockups are everywhere. Langx keeps himself alive with the searing charge. One more auto. LvMao goes down, though. It's a 1-for-1.
And especially when you've committed so many resources, JDG, towards this top side, getting one back is fantastic. Langx even has his TP to get back to this lane.
That is not the way that JDG wanted that play to go. LvMao spent so much time on this top half of the map, only for things to go even in the end. But importantly, it is going to be Zoom that grabs himself that kill, so he's going to get real tanky on the top side.
Yagao roamed as well, so he's just lost some of that CS and gold towards that mid lane turret. So bit of a win for LGD, and especially when we said, hey, look, Peanut needs to get this ball rolling early. Getting this early kill at least gives something back for LGD.
For any viewers that are confused why we saw an Ignite there, this is an unsealed spellbook in the mid lane from Yagao. So it's not a real Ignite, it's just going to be a kind of bonus Ignite that he gets to use in that mid lane. And the thing about the Orianna versus Zoe matchup, unless there's some miraculous trouble bubbles, realistically, you're not going to see 1v1 plays.
Langx getting a lot of attention here. Zoom, obviously a bit peeved as to what happened in the last game, calling up Kanavi. Also making sure that he can crash this wave, so then there's no funny business coming in from Peanut. This gives the opportunity, though, for LGD, because they know Kanavi has to escort that minion wave in top, to go for this dragon on the bot side.
And Peanut going to be the first one on the scene here, grabs himself an Infernal Drake to start the game off. And let's bear in mind, LGD have a reputation for finding themselves this first dragon. Now moving into the mid lane with the Predator as well. Yagao might have to flash away from this one, but it looks like he's going to get out anyway, scot-free on this one. xiye wasn't really in the position to follow up.
Does mean, though, that xiye has to take the long way around and will need to stay in this mid lane, so Kanavi may have to try and help Yagao clear out this wave, giving control for LGD at this Rift Herald, which, at least for LGD's side, they really want to pick up, especially using the advantages that Langx has in this top lane.
And it's really important to mention as well that, as we said during the draft, QSS is an item that exists. So Peanut, later on in the game, is going to have a really hard time making his ultimate effective. And so we need to see, now that he's level 6, him make plays with this ulti and find ways to find advantages.
Which is why I was surprised by such a late back from Peanut. It felt like he'd missed his opportunities, but maybe picking off this mid laner could help.
Yeah, Market Kramer moving up. Yagao is nowhere near the play. Look at your minimap right now. He's still in the blue base. This means that LGD have complete control of the area. He doesn't have teleport. Herald down to half. The Zoom is busy crafting an item while all of this goes down, I guess. 2,000 HP. In goes LvMao, going to be pulled back, but Zoom brittle on everyone in the play. LvMao surviving for a bit, but goes down eventually. Langx now on the play. This is going to be 1-for-1 to start things off. Curtain call comes out. Shockwave only onto Kanavi. Lamb's respite keeps him safe. And everyone's out of the curtain call here. Final shot doesn't go through. And importantly, Kanavi gets the Herald.
1-for-1, Kanavi gets Herald, and LGD, unfortunately not able to pick up that Rift Herald, which would have been so good at helping them to snowball in this early stages. They still are waiting for those 2 items to come online for Kramer and for xiye, but certainly JDG getting these early Rift Heralds is going to give them a nice buffer when it comes to getting to that late game where they're stronger.
Now, Dagda, this is feeling a little bit more like game number 1 of the series, where we did see much more slow, calculated play out of our 2 teams. So let's talk scaling for a second, because on the side of JDG, it kind of jumps out at me that they have a lot of late games already.
Yeah, and that's why even though JDG have the better late game, we can look at this replay here and see that, you know, CC sometimes is king. And when Langx is trying to get into the middle here, not quite able to get the damage that he wants on towards LoKen, LGD are forced to run for the hills. Kanavi, with that Lamb's respite, able to basically give a free curtain call to LoKen, which kicks LGD out of the river. But as you said, JDG, when you've got double AD carry and an Ornn, you're going to be in prime position for that late game. Infinity Edge can be built on towards LoKen for a Molten Edge, Black Cleaver, Obsidian Cleaver for Kanavi. They are going to take over late game. So LGD need to run away off of the 2.5 items that Kramer will pick up, the Luden's Echo in towards Oblivion Orb for xiye, and then making these mid-game fights theirs and having that late-game snowball in their favor.
And I will say as well that when you look at the composition coming out from LGD, early game, late game, mid game, if they find a pick, they are going to easily take control of things with a Bard, with an Ezreal that can follow up, Orianna with the damage, but most importantly, the Skarner for Peanut that can pull someone in. There is plenty of pick potential if JDG make a mistake.
It's also about how you can maneuver around in these fights, because you've got xiye who can speed up Peanut, but also provide a ball delivery system for xiye. You've got Langx as well, who can set up for these big shockwaves. And even if Peanut does rip someone on JDG's side into LGD, xiye can play keep away with that ball as well. So there's a lot of decision making on xiye's part on how he wants to use these shockwaves, defensive, offensive, or zoning tools.
So I want to quickly mention, obviously Kanavi did find himself that Rift Herald during that last play. One of the big questions on my mind now is where does that go? Because there's definitely a conversation about dropping it in this top lane. You can see on your screen right now, there are only 3 plates remaining with Demolish available on Zoom. He already has a bunch of armor. They could look to just finish that tower off.
LGD looking to make a pick with the Peanut on this bottom side, but there's nobody in this bot side of the map. So instead, we'll just try and clear some vision for themselves for this dragon in 40 seconds.
Well, the Herald is going to be dropped on this top side, and with Kanavi here with Zoom able to demolish this tower, this is going to be an objective trade across the board as the Dragon going to be coming up. In the meantime, it looks like a bit of a dive going on as LGD trying to make their way underneath these towers, but good respect from LvMao and LoKen as they move back underneath this tower now to make the play. A second charge up in the top side as well. Zoom gets an opportunity to hammer away. In the meantime, Kanavi moves over to the Raptors. This is marked as well. This would be Kanavi's 3rd mark of the game.
And the opportunity for a gank mid. xiye is super far overextended. Zoom gets the top lane, may even get another charge, and xiye has to run for the hills.
Bubble doesn't quite land though, so it means they won't be able to find that one. This will be a second Drake going the way of LGD. And I don't think there's any real opportunity for any kind of steal. Lamb's respite force. Nice shockwave from xiye just to put some threat onto Kanavi. Put the fear of God in his heart.
Now, those 2 towers going down in the top lane are obviously nice for JDG with just the influx of gold. But on LGD's side, their win condition is these dragons. So starting to get these dragons racked up means that they can look for, when they're strongest, a 4th dragon.
Here we go. We've got to play on the top side. Langx the target. And that Ornn is going to make escaping very difficult. Knocked sky high. And Yagao should be able to be the one to finish this kill off. Zoom happy to donate it over to the Zoe of the mid lane.
Yagao getting himself up and rolling. As we said, this is an undefeated pick for Yagao in the summer split. A 16 KDA on his Zoe. So getting the Zoe up and rolling is definitely considered a win condition on JDG's side.
It definitely feels like these 2 teams are taking it in turns to bully the enemy top laner. Last game we saw LGD just taking Zoom apart. This time around is Langx that is 1 and 3 in that top side. He's already lost 2 turrets as well.
And now JDG can continue that storm across the map. You've got those 2 turrets down topside. Well, look at where the wave is going to be positioned. You can shove that in incredibly far as JDG and unlock Zoom for this top lane for any sort of plays that happen towards this mid lane or towards this bot side.
And once again, this Skarner pick for Peanut needs to make something happen. It needs to show its value because in the later stages of the game, I mean, Kanavi on the Kindred with these ults has already shown his value, but this Kindred only gets stronger. This is a really scary late game pick.
And Peanut hasn't been able to do very much. We said, hey, look, you want to be playing through this top lane, through Langx, because Kramer Mark don't really set you up. This Predator has been used twice. One was underneath the turret. The second time was just to run through mid lane and not actually catch anyone. So right now, this Skarner hasn't actually been able to get rolling and get these advantages for LGD. Now, the QSSs will be a long way away just yet, but they will come eventually.
Peanut uses the Predator to see if anyone's around in the river. And I do just want to quickly mention the fact that we got a Cloud Soul coming up. So when you mention the fact that these dragons are the win condition for LGD, that's not the best dragon-based win condition available. JDG answering a potential play that could have happened towards this bottom side, but LGD in the end, they decide better. They decide this is not the play.
JDG can move up towards this Rift Herald though. You can see already Zoom is shoved in topside super far. And if you pick that Rift Herald with the pressure already gone on topside, you can actually crack open these mid and bot lane structures.
And while this game has been quiet, this is exactly what JDG specialize in. Quiet early games are their dream. Look at the goal differences across the board on the left of your screen. Massive in the top lane and in that bottom lane. And the jungle's doing pretty decently as well. Across the whole team, though, they've got a 3,000 gold lead for themselves. And they're starting to hit some major power spikes across the board. Because Yagao, he's already got himself Luden's Echo.
Kanavi got this Rift Herald now, so with that Luden's Echo in the mid, Yagao can push in these waves super effectively and causes a lot of issues for LGD where he can push and roam very easily, and when you've got something like a Rift Herald, your ability to set up for these dives becomes so much stronger, especially towards that bottom half of the map.
So it's going to be 2 dragons on the side of LGD, but 2 heralds on the side of JDG. They are looking for this standing gold around the map. Yagao going to shove out in the mid lane. And LGD sticking towards this bottom half of the map. As I'm really curious now if JDG are going to try and contest this next Drake, because they could just forgo the 3rd one and try and fight for the 4th, but I feel like they're at a point now where they are strong enough to just go for a battle.
I agree, especially when you've already got those 2 items completed there for LoKen, the Zeal and the Storm Razors. Means that you are actually pushing out quite a bit of damage alongside the Curtain Call. Kanavi nearly having that Black Cleaver completed as well. Just got to finish there as he's coming out of base. And Zoom is going to be monstrous if he can get these front-to-back fights. So I'm curious to see how LGD approach this, and if Peanut can find those flanks where he can disrupt LoKen and Yagao, maybe even Kanavi, and give that pick opportunity for LGD to start off these fights.
Oh, that's a trouble bubble, but it's a shockwave to answer in with the Impale, and that is the kill we've been looking for LGD. 30 seconds on the Drake. This is theirs.
That's the pick that we were just talking about. Peanut just managing to catch onto Yagao with a great shockwave from xiye. That'll give them the dragon, and maybe a little bit more as they're looking towards this bot side.
Bear in mind, Yagao does not have his teleport available, so there's no way this mid laner will be a part of a dragon play unless it's real slow. xiye, the target here, is going to see Call of the Forge God used very aggressively from the side of Zoom. Now Kanavi has to use his Lamb's Respite. xiye putting so much pressure on the enemy jungler, and Kanavi's probably going to go down. Flashes over the wall though. It's going to be stunned by Langx. Will fall to the Crocodile, who's rampaging through the team of JDG. Shield comes out, and another fight win for LGD as they start off this Drake.
JDG still trying to get in here though. That's going to be the Curtain Call.
Going to try and snipe Langx here. Won't find the 4th shot as LoKen now has to move in. Mark is off on this side. He is low though. Needs to be a little cautious on how he plays this one out. 3,000 on the Drake. Kanavi nowhere to be seen. The crit! The flash comes out from Mark to keep himself alive. Now on towards the dragon. Bear in mind there are spellbooks in the game. This is stealable theoretically. Peanut takes a massive chunk of damage. JDG, they can keep this up all day. They've got poke going for days. Langx pushes out the wave in the bottom side, returns to the play. They're keeping the dragon low because Kanavi is on his way. True Shot Barrage is in. They don't even need it. They just crit it down.
Just about managed to take that one away. The poke from JDG side, too strong. But LGD no way to try and engage. They're forced to back away. JDG now inside track, a redemption for Yagao. They can get this mid lane turret as well.
And off the back of LGD finding picks, JDG somehow get both a dragon and a tower.
And that's the problem. You didn't have the damage built for LGD yet. Xiye's looking fantastic. Kramer, though, still not having the Manamune and that Jhin completed, meant he wasn't actually doing anything when these Mystic shots hit.
One thing I will say for LGD, though, they have xiye firing on all cylinders this series. We saw it on the Twisted Fate. Now we're seeing it again on this Orianna, putting so much pressure, not just onto Yagao, also onto Kanavi during these skirmishes.
And if there's anyone on LGD's side that I want to be the big playmaker, it is xiye. You can see it here, how he's able to force out these early Lamb's respites coming through from Kanavi. But even in earlier series, he was the big carry on picks like the Orianna in IG series, on the Silas. This guy in playoffs is on fire, and you can see it here. Kanavi running for the hills and setting up LGD for this team fight win.
And I think we might have another fight on our hands here, because Kramer and Mark moving into the bottom side, but everybody is here. Peanut looking for a dive. Good respect from Yagao to realize this is happening. The rest of JDG now move in to protect the tower. Importantly, LGD don't get the objective. Kanavi, because of all the shenanigans, he ran out of time on this Herald.
We'll pop it down bot side, and will be a lot of time here for LGD to try and respond to it. LGD at the moment are trying to use the tempo advantages that they have to allow xiye and Peanut access to this bottom side, pick off members of JDG, but unable to get there fast enough. JDG respond. They will get this bot side tower as well, thanks to the Rift Herald, so JDG are able to turn that play around.
And it feels like every game that we're seeing JDG crack open these tier 1s so damn effectively. They already got the bonus tier 2 that they picked up way back at the start of the game. And now we're entering this mid-game zone that both teams really excel at. We could see some real fights coming through.
Definitely, I give the edge to LGD as of right now, though. Spellbinder Luden's Echo completed for xiye. Kramer has just finished his 2 items as well. The Muramana he'd love to be able to upgrade too, but either way, this is where LGD will hit their strongest. Whereas we look at JDG, you still want the Infinity Edge completed for LoKen so we can get that upgrade from Zoom. Kanavi would love to add a little bit more to his repertoire as well. Something like a Zeal or something item along these lines, just to give him a little bit more firepower in these fights.
I want to see how many stacks Kanavi is on as well, because obviously the 4 stacks is that big power spike to start the game off where you get the extra range and some extra magic on your abilities and whatnot, but once you get 3 stacks extra beyond that point, every 3 stacks, you do get to upgrade your abilities again. Kanavi, he's more than happy to get some upgrades. Speaking of upgrades, when we look at the items across the board here, QSS has now come through for Kanavi. The respect, the tax being paid towards Peanut.
And it has to be done. This is where you start to see the QSSs coming in, and definitely for a composition we talk about being late game scaling, the fact you have to pay these taxes does hurt a little bit more, but you still have that ramp up from the likes of Kanavi and LoKen to rely on. So as long as JDG are taking this mid-game slow, are denying these dragons away from LGD, they're actually in an okay spot to hit that late game potential.
So, 1 minute and 10 seconds on this Drake, and that is the win condition for LGD. That's how they've been trying to snowball anything for themselves here. It's JDG right now that seem to have control.
And if LGD aren't able to go towards these dragons, the best way for them to try and play is through these side lanes. See if you can have xiye and Langx off, and that opens up Peanut a little bit more to find avenues with this Predator and just out-chase any of the members of JDG. The biggest issue for them in that play, though, is the double TP on JDG's side.
That's Kanavi's 4th mark, so has a whole bunch of extra range to work with. Peanut and Mark move into the river. They want to try and get some vision for themselves, but Kanavi takes away the shrine, which makes Peanut's life just a little bit more difficult. The Colonel's liking what he's seeing so far in the favor of JDG, but this Drake spawning in 25 seconds, what have I got to keep my eyes on here?
Xiye is the carry right now for LGD. A big shockwave can change the entirety of this game, and they need to be able to stop Yagao from poking, so they have to rely on shockwaves or Mark's Bard ultimate to close the gap onto JDG.
LGD have set up in the river. They want to grab this Drake for themselves. This would be their 3rd of the game. And immediately Call of the Forge God to try and start the fight. Knockup goes wide though, but there's a trouble bubble onto Kramer. They can't quite follow up for now at very least, but even just that did a good chunk itself. Yagao's been found, but he's got a ghost, so he zips away from the Predator. It's going to be both of those on cooldown. As JDG trying to set up once more. Kanavi's over the wall, wants to try and find himself steal. 4.5 on the Dragon right now. Yagao getting chased by Langx, who's going to try and get over the wall. LvMao might be in a bit of trouble himself. Root comes out onto Langx. He's tanking inside of the pit. Curtain call across the fight as well, but LoKen, tempered fate to keep him away. Zoom happy to tank on the front line as LvMao has to flash out of the pit. We've got to see some kind of steal come out from Kanavi if he wants to go for the Drake, and he does. Lamb's respite to keep himself safe as well. Kramer has to jump out of the fight. In the meantime, it's all on xiye. Shockwave onto 2, but LvMao turns golden to keep himself safe. Now Langx getting into the middle of the fight, getting in the middle of everyone, but he falls down. 3 versus 4, and LoKen's alone, but in comes Yagao on the Zoe to make the plays happen. One more auto, but he goes down, and LGD barely holding on. Yagao trying to turn this fight around, but Kanavi's still going. xiye over the wall, there's no red buff, he survives.
This is so damn close, but JDG get the second dragon. They will trade the kills, and with this scraping of health bars, LGD will return to base.
It could not be closer between these two teams right now. These are the fights that we wanted to see. Kanavi gets a couple of camps off the back of it, but most importantly, those 2 Drakes go the way of JDG.
This is so incredibly close. LGD not quite able to pull the trigger when it comes towards the engage. Mark just not getting that tempered fate down quick enough allows Yagao to get a little bit more poke over and over, and LGD don't pull the trigger, giving JDG the opportunity for the steal and the even team fight when all is said and done. We're going to see it here. The poke from Yagao needs to be stopped. You need to toss out a tempered fate way before this to stop all this plays coming through. But the problem was, Mark held on a little bit too long. LGD go low, and going golden in the middle here gives such a slight sliver of opportunity for Langx to go down. And then it's open season in this pit. Missed Mystic shot from Kramer means LoKen doesn't go down, forces xiye low. Oh, we're into a fight.
Hang on, we got another one on our hands. xiye's been caught. The one man that needed to carry for LGD has been found in the mid lane. And now JDG have an opportunity at a Baron here, but they're not that quick at taking it.
Worst timing for xiye as well. Just had finished that Magi Soul Stealer. He's back to 0 stacks. Now, Peanut needs to be the one, the king of thieves, who's just had his life stolen twice now by Kanavi.
But the King of Thieves is not feeling confident right now. He moves away from the play entirely. And this is the Baron going the way of JDG.
And JDG are snowballing. That train is chugging towards the late game. Obsidian Cleaver already finished on towards Kanavi. The Infinity Edge is quick to come for LoKen. And we get to see the engage coming through. That deadly flourish from LoKen, destroying xiye.
That long-range engage potential. The 4th shot, beautiful from LoKen. Getting the brittle proc with the first stack from the ultimate, followed by the deadly flourish. That, chef's kiss.
And JDG showing just how good their engages are. The coordination, the decisiveness of this team has been the hallmark of their victories. And once again, JDG looking to see if they can flank on to LGD, catch them out. But LGD will back away.
Well, they found another pick, apparently. Kanavi gets a find onto Mark here. Trouble bubble underneath the tower means everyone has to back away. Zoom actually committing a teleport to this one. I'm not sure that was 100% necessary, but either way, they're going to continue the siege. LvMao threatening the dive now as he steps on forward with his Eclipse. Just going to scare everyone off because the towers are falling like paper right now. Like butter through a hot knife or the other way around. Now towards this top side of the map where the minion wave has already pushed in. The Baron comes in, Langx just trying to clear the wave as much as he can. But with double AD carries, these towers don't stand a chance. LGD have got to make something happen. Onto LvMao they go, but Call of the Forge God. Knockups onto 3 people. They can't quite finish this tower off. There's another knockup across this team. Zoom doing everything he can, but he's falling low. Lamb's respite to keep him safe. There are 5 members strong for LGD. Shockwave keeps him in the play, and LGD turning this one around. Down goes Zoom, double kill for Kramer, and now onto Yagao. This is the moment to turn it around.
LGD will just about hold on to their base. They can push out these waves. They can keep themselves safe for the moment, but the damage has been done. JDG have got the mid lane turret down. They've got that inhibitor. Top lane is next to crumble, and LGD feel like they can breathe a sigh of relief, but it might be quickly squeezed out.
There is a consolation prize on the map, though, as a Drake's up in 35 seconds. Let's take another look, because Mark just Did not expect them to be there at all.
And it's so heartbreaking to see Mark, after such a good performance against IG, actually gets caught out and causes a lot of issues here for LGD. Great call of the Forge God from Zoom, but unfortunately for them, they bought off a little bit more than they can chew. Even with this Baron buff, you aren't able to get on towards LGD properly. That shockwave to pull two members of JDG back into auto attack range of LGD. From that point forward, they can finish off the low health member.
And such a nice shockwave from xiye as well, in that even if you're not killing the people, even if the Lamb's Respite is still there, you keep them in the play. You can follow up after the Lamb's Respite is done. The CC was what was valuable, is xiye understanding his role in these fights. Now, Drake has spawned onto the map. This would be third Drake and Soul point for either of our teams.
It's tax time though. We've got to look in at our QSSs. Kanavi and LoKen both have paid their dues. We're looking to see if that Banshee's Veil can be popped onto Yagao to provide a target for Peanut. With both the Predator and his flash up, he's at his most potent time to make these picks happen.
JDG just respecting right now, not willing to risk it all for a Cloud Drake. That is now Soul point for LGD. But it's going to be a very late Soul coming out, regardless of who gets it at this point. The Cloud Soul not the most impactful.
It's not. Realistically, you're okay as JDG to let this one go. You're more interested in the likes of that Baron and the Elder Dragon that will follow. But at that stage, you already have a bunch of these late game Ornn items coming in. You're going to be in great shape.
Now the siege on this bottom side from JDG, they know that they have the gold lead. It's not as significant as previous games, but it's enough for them to muscle another tower
Especially with Ornn items. They're the hidden benefactor here, where that gold doesn't transpire into the top of your screen. But with Molten Edge, Luden's Pulse, Obsidian Cleaver completed, JDG are a lot further ahead than they look.
And let's remember, JDG, if they can win this game, will qualify themselves for the World Championship. They have been denied 2 years in a row in the regional finals. They do not want to go to the regional finals. They want to win it right here and now.
They're knocking on the door. They are trying to batter through LGD's base. And off of the play that we've seen in this series, it feels undeniable that they will eventually make it there. LGD trying to desperately see if they can make that play, find that pick, the shockwave that could bring it back. And Kanavi might just be that pick. Although Mark will just wave at him as he disappears.
Kanavi moves back into his own jungle here. Kanavi currently on 6 stacks, so he's 1 stack away as well from his next kind of power spike on the Kindred with the passive. But realistically, the first one is the one that you're mostly looking towards.
Exactly. So either way, LGD now are in a pickle where they have to try and figure out, right, how do we find these plays that can bring us back? It heavily relies on a combo between xiye and Kramer. The double ultimates will shred through JDG. The issue, though, is JDG are doing a great job of getting vision control and looking for opportunities.
xiye does have flash available, but it's not going to be needed with the phase rush there. And a nice tempered fate coming out from Mark to deter the play. Now Baron spawning in 25 seconds. That's what JDG are really looking for.
That could be the play, though. That could give them the opportunity. If Pinot can maybe find an opportunity to get onto Yagao, LvMao, not having that call of the Forge God there is a big issue for JDG.
I will say, though, the cooldown is ticking down real quick.
Yeah,
for
double
Zoom.
Cloud.
They do have 2 Cloud Drakes. Pinot tries to find a way in with his Predator, but he won't find his opportunity just yet. Kanavi stepping forward pretty boldly. Kramer forced out of the play here. Trouble Bubble goes through and quite close the gap.
And now they can continue to poke out, though. LGD back away. Yagao trying desperately to see if he can hit a couple of these paddle stars, but hasn't quite been able to get them on towards the target he wants. JDG will start up the Baron as this Call of the Forge God starts to come up.
It is spotted out, though. The ward finally cleared. There's a Trouble Bubble onto Mark. Has to Magical Journey out of the play. Peanut stepping forward, gets onto LvMao. This support may just go down, but the Stone Plate keeps him alive for a tiny bit. 1 for 1 so far, as that's going to be xiye dropping. Shockwave, not enough. Lamb's Respite keeps everyone safe for now. Who will fall at the end of the ulti? Mark is the next one to go, but it's a double kill for Kramer, who's just free firing at the back of the fight. Yagao steps forward, LoKen with a double of his own, and that's going to be a Trouble Bubble. Kramer can't escape. There's a pillar, though. Keeps himself alive, but now LoKen with the crits coming on through. He's chasing it down. His Swifty's intact, and he falls on in to grab himself a double kill. Look at the style.
LoKen with the double kill to end it all for LGD. They were so close. They fought their way back. No shockwave from xiye, though, will spell their end.
This is it. JDG have done it. The TPs come on in. They get onto the base here. JDG, as the Nexus crumbles, the world trembles after years of denial. JDG enter the world stage to stand among the greats. The Kings of Spring are now poised to defend their throne.